Sarajevo, 1993. 596 days under siege. Sarajevo under siege. It has been 596 days since the siege began. There are still those who have managed to survive. But how? Some people wanted to find out. Those curious about the survivors' success conducted research. The common traits among the survivors were not the equipment or weapons they possessed. The most important move the survivors made was joining a group. Every prepper makes a solo plan to survive. Food for one person, water for one person, shelter for one person. Even if solo plans are successful, they have a flaw. Humans are social animals. Therefore, humans cannot survive alone. They never have. Ever since Homo sapiens. Research from Sarajevo confirms what all long-term crisis scenarios show. It wasn't the most prepared who survived. It was those who joined a group and were most useful to that group who survived. What you need to join a group isn't equipment. It's just 5 skills. There are 5 skills that will convince any group you encounter to take you in. Most preppers don't have these 5 skills, not even one of them. Because most preppers buy equipment instead of developing skills. Skills can't be bought, they're acquired. I'm going to explain these skills to you now. But I want you to support me by subscribing and liking this video. Come on, do it now. Number 1. Medical intervention. This isn't an issue that can be resolved simply by saying, I have a first aid kit. After all, anyone can carry a kit. But without the knowledge to use its contents, the kit is just a box. What the group needs is someone who can use the box, someone who can assess a wound and make a decision. Is this wound infected or healing? Does the wound need to be covered? Or will covering it trap bacteria? Is this person going into shock, or are they just in pain? After the events in Sarajevo, researchers conducted interviews with survivors about group formation. According to the survivors, medical skills emerged as the most important reason for inviting someone into the group. Not weapons, not food, not physical strength, medical skills. Because in a long-term scenario, everyone gets injured. Everyone gets sick. And the person who can handle this becomes indispensable. You don't have to be a doctor. You just need to learn basic first aid. Even if the collapse doesn't happen, you never know when you'll need it. You have to be the person with the most medical expertise in your area. That bar is set much lower than you think. You just need to be a basic first aider. Number 2. It's not about water purification or storage. Everyone stores water. What groups need is someone who can make any water source, a puddle, river water, or rainwater, drinkable. Continuous, reliable, without electricity, without equipment. It's not as complicated as you might think. Gravity filtration through sand, gravel, and activated carbon removes particles and improves the taste. Boiling water for 1 minute at the boiling point kills pathogens. Of course, this is only necessary at sea level. Do not leave water exposed to sunlight in clear plastic bottles. This only works as a tertiary treatment when all other options are exhausted. A group lacking this knowledge is dependent on stored water that will eventually run out. A group with this knowledge, however, can survive indefinitely near any water source. So when the collapse is at the door, which one do you want to be? Number 3. This is the most important part, because you've probably never faced such a necessity before. Preparing food without a kitchen. Have you ever tried cooking without a kitchen? It's not just about cooking. Anyone can cook when there's a stove, running water, and a grocery store. The real skill here is this: transforming raw, unfamiliar, or damaged food sources without electricity, without running water, and without assuming the food comes in packages into something the group can actually eat. Survivors in Sarajevo proved this time and again. When packaged food ran out, The groups that survived were the ones that had someone who knew how to cook beans from scratch, how to make bread with minimal ingredients, how to make inedible food edible. It seems trivial, but it's not what it seems. In a long-term scenario, morale is directly linked to the quality of food. Morale determines group cohesion. Group cohesion determines survival. The person who feeds the group well keeps the group together. Developing this skill costs nothing. It requires practice, not money. And this is the skill that makes you indispensable in any group you join. Number 4. Conflict management. Groups don't fall apart because of external threats. They fall apart because of internal threats. Stress, scarcity, fear, fatigue, grief. All of these disrupt group harmony. When left unmanaged, these factors destroy groups faster than any external threat. Stress management is a learnable skill. It's not a matter of personality or talent. It's a set of techniques that can be studied and practiced. Active listening reduces perceived conflict by a measurable amount. Separating the person from the problem. Identifying common interests underlying opposing positions. Creating exit strategies by diffusing escalating tensions. The person who can keep a group together under pressure is the one no group can afford to lose. Number 5. Mechanical repairs, i.e. handyman work. Everything can break down. Generators, water pumps, vehicles, tools, shelter structures. In a long-term scenario, the ability to repair things is the ability to make the most of every resource your group has for a longer period of time. You don't have to be a mechanic. You do, however, need to understand the basic operating principles behind the machines your group needs. How does an internal combustion engine work? Where do most breakdowns occur? What can and cannot be repaired with basic tools? How does a hand pump move water? What are the common failure points? How do you improvise a replacement part? How do you assess structural damage to a shelter? What can be stabilized using available materials? The prepper community spends money on equipment. What makes that equipment reliable and what makes it worth keeping you alive when it breaks down is knowing how to repair it. 596 days under siege. The survivors weren't the best armed. The survivors weren't the ones who stockpiled the most. They were the ones who were most helpful to the people and groups around them. Medical skills, water management, food preparation, conflict resolution, mechanical repairs. None of these skills are expensive to learn. None of them require special access. They all require time. A prepper's question shouldn't be, do I have enough gear? The real question is, when you show up at a group's door tomorrow, why should they take you in? Now you know 5 answers to that question. Which of these 5 skills do you have? Write them in the comments. Rate them from 1 to 5. I read them all. Every winter, those who are prepared heat their homes with fire. Every winter, some of them never wake up, not because of the cold, but because of the fire they thought would save them. Carbon monoxide has no smell. It has no color. It gives no warning. No one talks about it.